So we see that chapter 1 again, the synopsis. We're introduced to the Creator of heaven and earth, okay, and His creation. But in chapter 2, the focus, now all of a sudden we begin to narrow in. We begin to narrow the focus. Begin to focus more on one particular creation, okay, and that is man. Right. That's because we get the account of man again as Christian in chapter 2, but they go a little bit more in detail, okay? Now,
well, Genesis 1 was then more of an overview.
Right. That Yah created everything, heaven, the earth, the sea, and everything in it. Now we're going to focus on one creation in particular, and that is man himself. All right. So now look here in verse 5. Verse 4 says, "These are generations of the heavens and the earth when they were created in the day that Yah Elohim made the earth and the heavens." Verse 5, "And every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew, for Yah Elohim had not caused the rain upon the earth." That's important to remember. It had never rained before, right? And there was no man to till the ground. So how did Yah provide water for His creation? What does it say? He watered. It said, verse 6, "But there went up a mist from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground." Okay? And now it goes into more detail. In chapter 7, we know that Yah made man in His own image, and His own likeness. Male and female, He created him. But in chapter 2, verse 7, He goes to more depth and let us know that Yah formed man from where? He was formed from the dust of the ground. And it said Yah breathed into man's nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. And then it says in Yah, once He made man, then Yah placed man, or He planted man in a garden. And that garden was eastward in Eden. Eastward in Eden, okay? And we know that Eden was Africa, okay? And He planted man eastward in Eden. And there He put the man whom He had formed. And out of the ground, Yah made He made to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight, good for food, and the tree of life, also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. You notice something in verse 8, in verse 9. Okay? What did Yah do? He made what? Every tree was pleasant to sight, Yah made, right? And every tree was what?
Good for food.
And he made, there was 2 trees that specifically talked about that were placed in the middle of the garden. 2. That was what?
The tree of life.
And the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Then it goes on, it talks about the rivers. Okay? The rivers that went out of the Eden to water the garden. Notice, see, the rivers, where the rivers go, it said the rivers went out of Eden to water the garden. Now notice, remember that? See, He said He planted man in the garden, and the garden was eastward of Eden, and then there was river that went out of Eden to water this garden. Okay? And so it goes on, it was divided into 4 heads, and it named the 4 rivers. Okay? And then verse 15 talks about again, Yah Elohim took the man and put him into the garden of Eden. Okay? It's the garden of Eden. Okay? To dress it and to keep it, or to guard it. Then Yah gave man a command. What was the command in verse 16?
All the trees of the garden you can have except the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
Yep. He commanded the man. It's a commandment, not a suggestion. I got an idea, Adam. He said, He commanded him of every tree to freely eat. You may freely eat. But, however, there's one tree you cannot eat. It's in the middle of the garden. It's the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Don't eat from that tree. Here, Yahweh again is establishing ownership. Because out of all the trees, this one here is mine. Don't touch this one. My tree. Don't eat from this tree.
My purpose.
My purpose, okay? You freely eat from all the trees, but don't touch my tree. He's establishing again His authority. Okay? And then it says, Yahweh told him what's going to happen in verse 17. See, if you eat from this tree of not good and evil, what's going to happen? The day you eat of it, you will surely die. In the day you eat it, you'll surely die. You are going to surely die. And then he goes on, the scripture goes on to talk and let us know that Yah said, it's not good that man be alone. I will make him a helpmeet. Adam looks around, see everything has a mate. Some look just like him, but him. He's a very intelligent man. How come everybody else got somebody? I don't have nothing. Okay? And so, Yah then causes Adam. He causes Adam. He makes the beast feel. He brings these beasts to Adam and says, "You see what Adam would name them." So Adam is given the task of naming. Why he give Adam the task of naming?
Ownership.
To show authority. Because anything you name, again, it means you have authority or power over it. Again, that's why you name your children. If you have a business, you name your own business. You name whatever you control. When you was a slave, our forefathers were slaves, and came over here in ships and scattered throughout the world. We were giving different names, thus again showing ownership and authority.
Right.
Okay.
Also, even Creator, when he chose Abraham, he changed their name.
That's right.
For greater purpose.
For greater purpose, right?
Changed Jacob's name to Israel.
Yes. Just right.
He named them.
Y'all name it. Okay. So names are very, very important. We've gone over this before. Names are very, very important. Okay. And Yah allows Adam to demonstrate his dominion and authority. Yeah. Okay. And to work like he works.
Right.
Okay. Now, after he named the animals, okay, verse 21 says that he caused Adam to fall into a deep sleep. And when he slept, he took one of his ribs and closed it up, the flesh thereof instead. And the rib which Yahweh Elohim had taken from man, he made he a woman. So he took Ish, he put Ish, which means man in Hebrew, he made an Isha. Okay? And it's funny that word Ish and Isha come from the word, it's very similar to the word Esh, which means fire.
Fire.
And you better believe when Adam saw Kaiwa, he was set on Esh, fire. Okay? And when he saw him, look what he said. He said, now this is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. She should be called woman because she was taken out of man. And they both were naked, the man and his wife, and they were not ashamed. So we see there, Adam, now Kaiwa is manifested. Okay, and now man is complete. Okay, man is complete because remember, Yahweh said, let us make man in our image. And after our likeness. And he says, he made them, man, what? Male and female created he them. So now we see the creation of Adam is complete. Yeah. Now we go into chapter 3. And something happens in chapter 3. What takes place? Who wants to read? Who want to read chapter 3 a little bit?
And the serpent was more crafty than any beast of the field which Yahweh Elohim had made. Yeah. And he said to the woman, is it true that Elohim said, do not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said to the serpent, we are to eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Elohim said, do not eat of it, nor touch it, lest you die. And the serpent said to the woman, you will not certainly die. For Elohim knows that in the day you eat of it, your eyes shall be open, and you shall be like Elohim, knowing good and evil. And the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eye, a tree desirable to make one wise. And she took of its fruit and ate, and she also gave to her husband with her, and he ate. Then the eyes of both of them were opened, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made loin coverings for themselves. And they heard the sound of Yahweh Elohim walking about in the garden in the cool of the day, and Adam